We're all very sad at the Tonight Show to hear about the passing of our friend and entertainment legend, Rob Reiner, and his wife, Michelle Reiner.
We are all still processing the tragedy of Rob Reiner. I mean, I know, it's awful.
Been a very emotional day, and along with...
Rob Reiner heard I was in L.A., and he took me out to lunch, man. He took me out. He didn't have to do that, you know?
Today is Monday, the day after Hanukkah, the day after Australia, after Bondi Beach, after Brown University shooting, and after the tragic murder of my great friends, Rob and Michelle Reiner.
It was one of those moments in Hollywood that the world felt like a shockwave. When news broke about Rob Reiner and his wife, Michelle Singer Reiner, found dead in their Brentwood home on December 14, 2025, no one knew at first that they were victims of a brutal stabbing attack. Authorities later confirmed their deaths were homicides. Their son, Nick Reiner, 32, was arrested and charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder. Rob Reiner made movies that felt like reflections of ourselves. He made us laugh, cry, think, and most of all, feel connected to one another.
He was just one of the most generous, kind people I ever knew. I was going through a difficult time at one point, and he called Catherine, my wife, and myself, and Michelle, and he took us out to dinner. And he didn't even mention, any of the difficultness. He didn't talk about anything. He just wanted us both to know that they were there for us if we needed them. And one of the most beautiful things I can never forget is we were on the bus going from London to Sheffield, where we shot all the castle scenes, and Rob was sitting on the window here in front, and Billy Crystal was next to Rob, Chris Guest was next to me, and I was here. And these 3 guys had a savant-like ability to remember every single stat, inning, and play of baseball games when they were 6, 7, 8 years old. Yeah. And they would go over it, and I was just drop-jawed. My father loved baseball like this. Yeah. I couldn't believe what I was hearing, and I also just couldn't believe the friendship of these people. Yeah. And where my heart is really just trying to hold them is I can't even fathom what they're going through, let alone the children. And even I go to the gym and people
learned that Rob and his wife Michelle had been killed in their home. The shock reverberated far beyond Hollywood.
The entire world is hurting. They're shaken by what happened in Australia, shaken again by what happened at a university, and shaken here in Los Angeles. And yet we have a president who doesn't use this opportunity to bring anybody together. Instead uses it to speak about himself, instead uses it in such a petty, divisive way. I don't care who you voted for at this moment in time, but the President of the United States is supposed to have character, is supposed to know how to bring people together, is supposed to be a dignified human.
There was no large public funeral immediately announced. Instead, the family gathered in a closed gathering, surrounded by loved ones, honoring privacy in the face of unthinkable grief. And yet, even without a massive public event, the spirit of that gathering and the voices of those who knew him tell us everything about who Rob was, what he meant, and how deeply he will be missed.
Special.
Rob Reiner wasn't just a filmmaker. He was a storyteller whose work became part of American culture. From his breakthrough role as Meathead on All in the Family to directing timeless films like Stand By Me, This Is Spinal Tap, When Harry Met Sally, and A Few Good Men, Rob's career spanned decades and touched millions.
Who raises us up. And instead, we have somebody talking like he does. It makes me sick to my stomach in this beautiful, great big country with so many good people who work day and night trying to help other people, who feed people, who care for people, who nurture people, who step up for people. People of all religions do that. People of other political parties do that. Different genders do that. And the person who could do it in a way that would inspire others does the exact opposite. Come on, come on. There's only one person who's suffering from TDS.
But for those who knew him personally, his greatest legacy wasn't the awards or the box office, it was the way he cared for people.
Australia, Brown University, Rob and his family, his lovely wife. It's hard to be happy and energetic. All we can do is look back and lift all those people up and say thanks for being here with us the time you were, and we learned from you, and we were so blessed to have you in our lives.
How will you remember him, and what do you hope his legacy is?
Well, I remember him getting to work with him on North, a movie that I did with him, and then he was so gracious to be a part of my video, Does He Love You, with Linda Davis. And he was just so much fun, open, great director, great person. His legacy is his work. I sure will miss him.
I've heard nothing but amazing things.
Yeah.
When news of Rob and Michelle's deaths broke, Hollywood didn't just post quotes online, it reached out to one another in sorrow. Friends gathered, shared memories, and quietly began to say goodbye.
Frequent guest here on the show, and everyone here would line up around his dressing room to say hi or tell him something that they loved. I mean, what he's given to the world through his art, from All in the Family to going to direct some great movies like Stand By Me, The Princess Bride, A Few Good Men, When Harry Met Sally, Spinal Tap, producing Seinfeld. Everyone felt like they had a personal connection to Rob Reiner and his work. I personally remember the last time he was on our show, and he came out from the curtain, and I was so happy to see him that I hugged him. And then we didn't let go of hugging all the way to the guest chair, and we didn't plan it. We were just doing a bit, and he knew I was doing a bit and just went along with it. He's one of the smartest and funniest people I've ever met. What a tremendous loss, and he leaves behind such a legacy. Thank you for all the great work on and off screen, and continuing to be an inspiration to me and millions of people around the world. In the end, I'm going to remember.
Billy Crystal was one of the first to arrive at the Reiners' home after the tragedy. He wasn't there as a celebrity, he was there as a longtime friend who knew Rob longer than most.
Rob Reiner heard I was in LA, and he took me out to lunch, man. He took me out. He didn't have to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was months after the movie came out. He's a busy man. And he took a 12-year-old me out to lunch just to be like, thanks so much. What a great movie. That lunch meant so much to me, you know. It's just stuff the kids need to hear.
Billy and Rob shared laughter, projects, and decades of friendship. They didn't work together often on screen, but off screen, they were part of each other's lives. At that private gathering, Billy stood with others who had known Rob since the beginning. People who remembered the early days when storytelling was everything and ego was nothing.
Who that is? Come on. It's a holy season. It's a blessed season. People are hurting all over the world. Come on. We deserve so much better than what we're getting out of the White House. And so I appeal to those of you who work for this man, who know this man, who are in this man's family. Come on, talk to him. Knock some sense into him. Put him in a timeout. Explain to him the possibility of this office. Explain to him the responsibility of this office. Explain to him the opportunity. Explain to him that we have had enough. All of us. We've had enough.
Longtime friend Albert Brooks spoke simply of Rob's genuineness. I love talking about him, Albert said, because it was always real. That was Rob's great gift. He listened, connected, and remembered the people around him. Not just their resumes, their names, their voices, their laughter. In that quiet ceremony, Albert's words were not a speech. They were a tribute from one human being to an ended wide. Even actress Sally Struthers, who worked with him on All in the Family in the 1970s, recalled how much she learned from him on set, not just about acting but about collaboration. That spirit of bringing people together carried through to every set he ever led.
Telling he was just a good guy, a loved guy and a talented guy, and his father, and what his father accomplished. Man, what a shocking, surprising story that is. But to just talk about the greatness of Rob Reiner, again, when he started out as an actor in All in the Family, playing Meathead, which is a part of my childhood. Carol O'Connor and All in the Family, and those characters, and Edith and Archie Bunker and Meathead and all those iconic moments. That was like must watch TV. And when you see the clips, they're still as poignant and as entertaining and as funny and as sometimes heartwarming and dramatic.
And that is why actors from different generations, from North co-star Elijah Wood to comedy voices like Josh Gad and Ben Stiller, spoke of him with the same reverence.
I'm not sure how to do this, but Rob Reiner gave me a job in A Few Good Men sometime in the 90s, I guess it was. And I was over the moon to get that job because people may or not know, but this is Spinal Tap is my all-time favorite movie. And when he called me, I was just so thrilled. But the making of that movie was one of the best experiences that I've ever had on a set. He was so fun, and it comes down from the top. You can set a tone where
Stephen King wasn't there because he made films, he was there because Rob told them well. King wrote that Rob was a wonderful friend, political ally, and brilliant filmmaker, whose adaptations of Stand By Me and Misery honored the heart of the original works. That trust between author and director is rare, and it's the reason storytellers from across the world look, even figures who aren't Hollywood regulars like former President Barack Obama and Michelle Obama, express their grief with personal warmth, noting that they were meant to see Rob and Michelle on the very day they died.
people feel like we are working hard, but also working hard in a safe and pleasant and fun situation. We had lunch together every day. I'd never done that with a director before or since. I'd never gone to have lunch, and Michelle would be there, and the two of them were so great together. Kira would come by. She was pregnant. She'd bring Travis. It was a magical time. So I'm just sending love to everybody that knew him, because I know that everyone's hurting today.
They remembered him not just for films, but for courage, curiosity, and a lifelong belief in the goodness of people. That goes beyond celebrity tribute. It is the recognition of a life lived with purpose.
But as a director, what a career. When Harry Met Sally might be one of the best movies ever made. Like, my wife considers When Harry Met Sally her favorite movie. That's an incredible movie. And Misery, and A Few Good Men, and Stand By Me, and of course, Spinal Tap is game-changing. Such a unique, weird, creative way to tell a story, way ahead of its time.
At that small, private gathering, the room was not silent because of stillness, it was silent because of respect. Friends like Martin Short, Larry David, Barry Levinson, and others stood together, sharing memories of laughter, rehearsals, politics, and the way Rob made. No flashbulbs. Just people who knew a man whose work taught them empathy, courage, humor, and heart. Rob Reiner didn't just make movies. He made stories that taught us how to care. He made characters that helped us see ourselves. And he made friends who will never forget him.
1984, and the performances that he got out of his actors. All the guys in Spinal Tap. All the kids in Stand By Me. When Harry Met Sally, Billy Crystal and Meg Ryan, they've never, ever, ever, ever been better. And Misery, the resurgence of James Caan, the discovery of Kathy Bates, and telling that story. What a tragic, terrible, scary, frightening, horrible, horrible story this turned into, from somebody that brought so much joy. Those films, Spinal Tap, Stand By Me, When Harry Met Sally, Misery, A Few Good Men. They're so entertaining and they're so joyful. And that's a reflection of who Rob Reiner was. And it's just a tragic.
The world will remember his films. But those who stood with him at that quiet farewell will remember his kindness, his curiosity, and the way his laughter filled a room. Michelle was by his side for 36 years, a partner in life and laughter. That partnership was honored not in public spectacle, but in private remembrance, among the people whose lives he had changed. There may be a public memorial later, one that honors Rob Reiner's legacy in front of the world. But the first goodbye was private, sacred, and deeply personal, shared among friends and collaborators who understood his heart. Rob Reiner will be missed because he didn't just make stories, he lived them with us. His legacy isn't on a marquee. It's in every laugh, every tear, and every truth we find between the lines of a great story. And that is how he will always be remembered.